Skywatch Media News for the first week of March 2018. Hello everyone. There is something happening on Earth and throughout the vastness of space that the observant eye is able to recognize. What is happening in these times has manifested itself in the form of signs and warnings that are directed towards the occupants of this world. One of the signs that warns of planetary change can be found in the increased Earth wobble, which can also be associated with the shifting of the Earth's axis, where even a slight tilt could severely affect the Earth's climate. It is much like a chain reaction where one extreme circumstance affects another, which will eventually lead to catastrophic consequences on the planet. The consensus that the Earth's axis has shifted is a belief that is widely held, but for a host of reasons, which includes scientific theory and analysis. One theory proposes that an axial shift is associated with melting ice sheets, which are fueled by climate change and the movement of water on the Earth's surface, which would affect the distribution of planetary mass, which in turn would affect the Earth's axis. It could be said that the concept of a shifting axis could ultimately add to the effects of climate change on a planet that is already on the brink of chaos. We know that the world's weather is becoming more extreme than at any point in the modern era. It is understood from observations conducted by climatologists that the ice sheets are melting. Sea levels are rising in effect due to the decline of land-based glaciers and ice caps, which are affecting coastal shorelines and contributing to inland tidal flooding. As a result of extreme climate change, the winters are becoming increasingly wet and frigid, while the summers are becoming increasingly hot and dry. Seasonal changes are now occurring much sooner, especially in the northern latitudes, while defying the Earth's normal orbital time frame. Although there appears to be conclusive data to support the conception that climate change is affecting the balance of the Earth, there is another conceivable reason for the imbalance. The presence of an exoplanet or two that are comparable to a large brown dwarf are now thought to exist within the solar system. In theory, if something significant were to exist at close enough distance, it could have a tremendous effect on our world. The concept of a Planet X or Nibiru existing somewhere in the remoteness of space is a testament of one's belief and of their own personal observations and knowledge that convinces them that this planet is real and that the writings of the ancient scribes that attest to its existence must therefore be true. What is so distressing about the Planet X hypothesis is that there are those people who continue to put dates on its arrival. But we all know that in reality, there are no timetables for such events. Rather than making up dates for the arrival of a celestial presence, the emphasis should be placed on the indicators that point to its arrival. Those indicators being the escalation and the intensification of the Earth changes. This is precisely the message that I have attempted to convey to our listening audience. While the scientific world tries to build a climate change consensus that explains why the Earth is shifting, private researchers are building a consensual basis that points to outside forces that explain the increased wobble and the axial shift. One of the best indicators of an erratic Earth wobble can be found through personal observation of the sky and the movement of the celestial stars. The Inuit elders of the north were among the first group of observers to notice the strange tilt of the Earth and how the sky has changed.
Sana ujian kita sila kalau itu belum sebagai ramai sana di ujian kita kita kasihkan taban 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 ini tahu kama sana ujian kita kita kasihkan taban ada kasuhu kami suka orang kerana kami bawa waktu itu di sini saya kerja doktor sebelum mengatakan namun saya ubaruni tahu tahu ubar sebelum mengalami tahu pakai pada sebelum mengatakan namun isu mengatakan aku saya baca kita ada ukau sekali berlagak kata sekali sila
nunak jawab kijak luk palangan asin naligala ciumat kangen lalu nomanga akaunga syukui ini cakap kisahnya kawin si penyunga sekinak apa gua nanu bulik mau gak sama anu ni pekat telak si mangkalawangat nunak jawab tanah asin naligala ciumat tilu mau gak daw yamik canong gak tak kasi umulot sa kanya.
Ikung nga doon, imanawala ako sa mga karwa. Saya manawin nila. Amma, ang kawala ako sa mga migata, amang marala sa mga kuta. Tamakwa, udlo yan, amma kanoy jawatak sa malagat natin. Sila kanoy jawatak, ilano na kanoy jawatak.
It has long been considered by sky gazers that the north pole of the Earth's spinning axis pointed to a star which is called Polaris, the North Star. But according to recent observations, the wobble has progressed, which could be a strong indicator that a major shift is in the works. If this were the case, we may actually see a gradual change of the North Pole from Polaris to Vega, which is the second brightest star in the celestial northern hemisphere. In the ancient days of Egypt, the North Star was Thuban, located in the constellation Draco, which almost exactly pinpointed the position of the North Celestial Pole back in the 2nd millennium BC. What would a change in the position and movement of the stars represent? And what effect would it have on humanity? In the simplest terms, this is what it means. The world is moving into a new era, a new age, in which our souls will be enlightened as we complete our journey across the solar system. We will come to better understand the changes that are happening on Earth when the North Star trades places in the constellations. The mysterious and sudden disappearance of the waters in South America and elsewhere is a strong indicator of how intense the wobble phenomena has become. The unusual behavior of king tides may also indicate the existence of an erratic Earth wobble. There have been a series of explanations given for the strange behavior of the tides. We know what they are: super blue moons, hyperstorms, or upper atmospheric disturbances in the jet stream, maybe a shift in the direction of the winds. All of these reasons have been forthcoming, but they just aren't convincing enough to conclude that this is a normal occurrence that could be caused by any of the aforementioned explanations. If you are someone who believes in prophetic meaning, then maybe the words of St. Hildegard in this old prophecy provide the explanation that you have been searching for. If you follow the words and their meaning, the prophecy may bring to light the devastation wrought by the historical Atlantic hurricanes of 2017, where tidal flooding and relentless rains caused inhabitants to seek higher ground. If there is a celestial presence contributing to the movement of the oceans, then the changes will progress as the presence gets closer. Although the appearance of a celestial entity has yet to be seen by the naked eye, there have been a series of warning signs that have been spent, including the September 2017 sign of Virgo, which is thought to usher in the beginning of the 7-year period prior to the end of the earth as we know it, known as the time of tribulation. The other sign being the Great American Eclipse of August 2017, which is thought to have been a heavenly warning directed to the people of the Americas that something very significant would occur in our near future. What warnings are being manifest at this time require a substantial shift in one's consciousness to a higher state, a time in which to get one's spiritual house in order, so to speak. This is also a time in which those powers who are aware of what is coming will manufacture false flags and societal chaos to divert our attention. Just about everything that happens in this world is a wait-and-see game that has to be played out to its fulfillment. Only then shall we know what we are up against. Rather than placing trust in timelines that only serve as a distraction from the most important issues that face us today, we should seek the signs and the indicators that will help guide us in our journey through these tumultuous times. Earth changes and weather anomalies are escalating at an incredibly fast pace, and a great deal of what's happening is not being fully or accurately reported by the mainstream cable news outlets. And that is why the internet has become such an important source of information. If we end up losing it through censorship or by means of a catastrophe, then we will only be left with our instincts and our intuition to help survive the changes coming our way. As always, there is so much to cover. Let's review some of the incredible happenings from across the globe for the beginning of March. The east coast of the United States was once again in the grasp of a huge nor'easter storm, which meteorologists refer to as a bomb cyclone. The powerful storm, called Winter Storm Riley, was relentless, causing a 4-foot storm surge and winds reaching hurricane force strength. Power was knocked out to more than 1.5 million residents in the path of the storm. Officials in Massachusetts are indicating that this storm was more powerful and more damaging than the storm that struck the region on January 4th of this year. On March 2nd, the third highest tide on record rushed over the seawalls and into the streets of coastal communities. At the same time a tidal surge was pounding the coast of Massachusetts, tidal rivers along the coast of North Carolina were disappearing. 2 rivers which flow into Pamlico Sound were virtually dry, as shown in these images. The receding of the waters has become a perturbing phenomenon. It seems that unusual winds and full moon tides are having a strange effect on the movement of the waters. But it could be that other factors are playing a role in this mysterious phenomenon. Like I said earlier, the explanations that are given are not very convincing, because this is a fairly new and misunderstood phenomenon. The provided explanations fail to tell the complete story of what is happening on the planet and in our atmosphere, and it is therefore up to each of us to try and figure out what's going on. On January 10th of this year, I published a video describing how the axis of rotation is off balance, which in effect is causing the ocean waves to slosh, similar to what you would see if you took a glass bowl and moved it about, causing the water inside of that bowl to become unstable. The same effect is happening on the planet. It's called oceans in opposition. A perfect example of this phenomena happened in the first week of March. While the water was receding along the east coast of the United States, uncovering the likes of a centuries-old shipwreck, other parts of the world experienced enormous waves not seen in decades. On the 4th and 5th of March, waves 30 feet in height slammed into Puerto Rico and Venezuela. These waves were bigger than those produced by Hurricane Moreira when it hit as a Category 4 storm in the summer of 2017. The bombogenesis storm Riley was so immense that huge waves severely affected the coastlines of northern South America, the east coastline of Central America, the eastern Caribbean islands, and the east coast of the United States. In northern Europe, the temperatures are so frigid that the canals of Amsterdam, which are normally flowing, have frozen over solid, allowing skaters to crisscross the ice in what is now a frozen wonderland. There are telltale signs that the Earth is opening up and swallowing everything in its path. This is not unique to certain countries or regions. It is happening all over the world. An unexplained geological event occurred just prior to March 1st. It happened in desertic Saudi Arabia. The deep crack, which is 656 feet in duration and still growing, was recently discovered in an area north of Riyadh. Geologists are currently investigating the strange ground fissure, which is the length of 2 football fields placed side by side, and which has split the Earth in 2. In a village located in the provincial highlands near Cusco, Peru, the population is living on high alert. In a terrifying scene straight out of the movie 2012, dozens of giant cracks in the ground are swallowing up houses, fields, and vegetation. More than 53 giant cracks have developed in large part due to perpetual earthquakes and rains that have destabilized this area since 2012. An emergency plan has been deployed to help the victims of this dramatic geological phenomenon. And so we keep looking to the sky for inner harmony to lift up our spiritual well-being. It is from here where we can receive an endless array of knowledge and a sense of equilibrium with our natural surroundings. This is the comfort that we strive to achieve. What may come from the outside is not important. At the end of our journey, we will come to know that the material attributes of our existence are insignificant, but the comfort of our inner perception will become our guiding light. Thanks for watching.